We've just looked at what a WBS is. This is lecture 4B. We're doing part 2 here, defining work packages. Really, when we look at defining work packages, we're looking at the process of decomposing scope to its lowest levels. So what we're aiming to do is define a work package, see how work packages fit into the overall framework, which is the WBS, using a method of decomposition to create a WBS. So basically we go back and look at how we go about creating a work breakdown structure, and I'm going to give you some general rules to identify when to stop, and the idea is you stop when you have a work package. So we're going to have some general rules on what is a work package. So let's start with the definition. It's the lowest element in a work breakdown structure. It's when you decide that you're not going to break up the project into any more components. It is, the work packages are like cards, cards of work, that once that work has been done and that part of scope has been delivered and you deliver all the cards, then you've finished your project. So the work packages are to tell the people working on it what needs to be done. It also use the work packages to say when things are done, who's going to do those work packages, and finally how do we control, how do we keep track of the project. So really it comes down to this. Once you've decided what your work packages are, you then manage just work packages, and in aggregate you get a project. Here we have a organisational chart format for a work package. We saw that in the previous lecture, and you can see we keep breaking the project down, we keep breaking it down until we get to the lowest level. Here we've decided not to break it down any further. They use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think a typical project is level 0, that's level 1, that's level 2, level 3 and 4 here. So it doesn't matter where the work packages are. This is what I was saying about Woodside. They demand the 3rd level work breakdown structure, so here. But there's no reason for that. You might not need to break this down any further, or you might need to break this down into 2 components, or you might need to break it down further yet. Okay, so there's no rule for what level a work package needs to be on. I know some organisations say you must have it on level 3 or whatever it is. It's when you've decided that there's enough information for the person that needs to do the work, can do the work, and there's enough visibility on the project. We'll get to that towards the end of the lecture. So a work breakdown structure component is any component in the work breakdown structure. It can be at any level. The idea of a work package is that it's at the lowest level. The WBS dictionary is it's kind of a misnomer. What you really do is you create these cards called work packages, and on these cards are the detail. That is, when will the work be done? Are there any activities? So you can further break down work packages into activities. Are there any activities to be completed? When will the work be done? Who's doing the work? How much should this cost? What materials are required? Are there risks involved? What are our mitigation plans? Everything about control, all the 10 knowledge areas are lumped into each work package. And then you can control work packages. And you don't have to keep, there's a bigger picture, the vision and all that, but when you're delivering or executing these projects, you're really looking at those minute details. And the minute details are work packages. So here's an example of what essentially is a work breakdown structure dictionary, describing what's involved or what this work package is about. I won't go through an example, it's in your textbook, you're doing the reading, but we're delivering a project. Okay, so it's an expansion to full-scale project. This work package is assembly hardware test. You can see the description, what's going to happen. You can see the deliverables. How do we know that this work package has been completed? What is it contributing to? We then have a series of activities. We're assign a resource, which is the sorts of things that you've done in the labs this week. And finally, we've got estimated durations, which we use as a cost. So this work package is $3,420 worth of scope. When it's delivered, it'll help achieve the deliverable test result summary, and there'll be a number of other work packages in your project, and once they're all completed, you've completed your project. So when we do WBS construction, what we're looking for is work packages. So we're dividing the scope up into smaller and smaller chunks, into sections and subsections, until we get down to a job to be done. Right, we need to continue to the right size, but what is the right size? Well, we start with major deliverables. In our patio example, we had paving, roof. They're the things that we record, they're the things that we say, yes, I'm happy, I've accepted that. In construction of a house, we might look at foundations, we might look at the walls. They could be major deliverables, but then we divide those deliverables up into smaller parts. It's the foundations, we need to clear the land, we need to do the plumbing and the electricity that needs to go underneath the foundations. We then need to concrete those foundations. Once all those things are done, we say we have foundations, but there were a number of jobs or a number of packages delivered to get us there. What we're talking about here is another way of planning. So the planning that you guys are doing is from beginning to end, working out all the work packages. In reality, projects change. They change from day one. So things then get updated. What they're suggesting here is a rolling wave plan, where you put detail into the first part of the plan, what you think needs to be done, for example, the foundations, but you don't plan out the roof at this stage. You know that the roof will occur. So this allows you to really focus on what's next and have a bigger picture in a sort of a more broad or coarse format. The advantage of this is that project plans can get quite big, so upwards of 300 pages. So if we're doing detailed planning for the whole project, which might be 18 months of work, then we don't get started. It's called analysis paralysis, and we keep planning what's going to happen in 18 months' time. But a rolling wave plan, doesn't go to the other extreme. Is we don't know what we're doing, let's just start. Okay, so it's a balance between the two. Anyway, we're mainly talking about planning the whole project, but the whole idea is here that things are going to change, so we've got to find ways of coping with change. And here's one example: a rolling wave plan. How do we go about creating a work breakdown structure? It's decomposing the project. We start with major deliverables, and then we decompose that into smaller groups, until we get down to this thing called a work package. So, how far should we go? When do we stop? You can see here we're dividing this up into sections. Should we go further? Have we stopped? What are the general rules? And for those of you who've been in the lectures, we discuss this about, how does it relate to the patio, but we'll just throw them up here for today, or for those people online. Assignment of responsibility, that's number one. If you have two people assigned to one work package, then you don't have a work package. It must have a clear line of responsibility. So if there's the two organisations, you've got the foundations, for example. Foundations cannot be a work package because part of that work needs to be done by those people who are going to clear the land, and part of the work needs to be done by an electrician, who's not necessarily going to be the same person. So we'll subcontract an electrician and say, you're on the work package with the land clearers, the concreters, the plumbers, and the people getting regulatory approvals from the local council. You're all on this work package. What happens with that is that nobody takes ownership, because nobody's really sure that they actually own that work package. So assignment of responsibility is the key thing. That's number one. Number two is a work package needs to balance this idea of micromanaging versus providing enough information. We'll look at executing and leadership. In that topic, we'll talk about delegating responsibility, not delegating work. So work packages need to have enough detail there to allow the person to get on and do it. But you don't want to have so much detail that you're dictating what they should do or micromanaging the person responsible. So it's a balance between the two. Once you've got those two in place, there might be some further considerations, but these are what we call further considerations. Those number 1 and 2 are the major things. Further considerations include a work package needs to be wholly contained. You can't have a work package. In the example that we used in the lecture was we're going to put up a roof, so we're constructing a roof. That included assembling an A-frame, which could be done on the ground, and putting that A-frame on top of some poles, which needs to, which obviously needs the poles there first. All right. So we can't call roof construction a work package, because you can see it necessarily has to be interrupted by another work package, which is concrete uprights. So work packages, so this thing here, work packages can be dependent on something. Right. So here we have set A-frames on uprights. Sorry, that's dependent on this work package, which subsequently was dependent on this work package. But these two things here cannot be a work package because they get interrupted by somebody else's responsibility. So you need it to be wholly contained. Some of the reasons is obviously for scheduling, as you saw there, but managing risk, that means you don't want somebody doing the paving underneath when somebody's setting the A-frame on the uprights. You know, there might be a risk or a health and safety problem with that. Okay, so we looked at making a work breakdown structure, which is decomposing the scope into smaller chunks. We do that by looking at major deliverables, decomposing that into smaller parts. The lowest chunk is called a work package. The work package is the work that needs to be done. Okay, so there it is there. $3,420 worth of scope will be delivered by the production analyst. This is the resource, and I assume that's the person responsible for this as well. How does this contribute to the rest of the project? So the main thing about deciding what is a work package is there one line of responsibility? Is there sufficient detail for the work to be understood by that person responsible or the people undertaking the activities? And have we got a discrete work package that won't be interrupted by other things? Right, that's it. So we've looked at work breakdown structure and now work packages. In the final part to this part B of the lecture, we're going to look at integrated change control.